Okay, in this video, I'll be going through the YTSS Prelim 2022 question 2. Okay, for question 2, it is a simple false question. In the question 2A, most of you got it correct. We initially wanted to penalize those of you who didn't spell out the name of the force in full. But when I look at the question, we can actually see that when you look at the orange highlighted part, since the symbol is given to you in the question, we allow you to use symbols to denote the name of the force. Okay, but just to be safe, it is a good practice to always spell out anything that the question asks you to do. Okay, in part A, most of you did it correctly. Remember, friction is actually a surface force, so I expect you to draw on the floor. Then for part B, right, common mistake is some of you take 0.8 as the acceleration. Unfortunately, this is not. So in Cambridge recently, the trend is that they will not give you the value of a key parameter directly, but instead they may rephrase acceleration as a change of velocity by how many seconds. So this yellow highlighted part, right, will actually tell you the value of acceleration. You need to work it out, and it will give you the value A equals to 0.2 here. Now the next misconception is that students think that when you apply the Newton's second law, F net equals to ma, F net refers to F, which is required by the answer over here. This is not true. F net is not F. F net is a summation of all the forces acting on this object. Now, when I say all the forces, you need to check the context of the question. So in this context, we have an object that is moving either left and right, meaning that we are only interested in the horizontal forces. So when I use F net over here, I am referring to the sum of horizontal forces. So the weight or the normal contact force, we don't need to care about it because those are vertical forces. Now, once you apply your Newton's second law correctly, you need to be able to expand F net into its different component, namely the F that is pushing the box, the negative air resistance, and the negative friction. Now, some of you may be asking me, why can't I use the right side as negative and the left side as positive? You can, okay? It's just that for me, when I teach my student, if you know that the object is moving from left to right, it is easier if you assign right as positive and left as negative. So basically, you will assign the minus or plus depending on how the object moves. If the object is moving towards the left, then you should assign positive towards the left. If the object is moving upwards, then you should assign positive as upwards. If the object is initially moving downwards, you assign downwards as negative. Now the keyword is initially in which direction the object moves. Okay, so in this case, I assign right side as positive. So as you can see, the F is embedded over here, and you have to include your air resistance and your frictional force. So after you do your algebra, you will be able to solve for F because you already know A is given by 0.2, right? And the mass is over here at the top. So you can solve this. Then for part C, many of you give me a very lengthy answer, and actually the question is basically asking you, why is it that the air resistance gets bigger? So it's a one line answer line, so you should keep your answer very concise. So when you see a one line answer, the first thing you should do is that you need to ask yourself, what are the factors that is affecting the size of air resistance? And in your book, there are 3 of them: the shape of the object, whether it becomes more or less aerodynamic, the density of the medium, for example, you're moving through mud, or you're moving through air, or you're moving through water, right? And the last one is speed of object. So actually, I'm trying to hint to you from part B that you notice that in part B, there is acceleration. So if you have acceleration, basically it means that your object is speeding up, right? And if you know that your object is speeding up, this means that there is a relation between these two things, right? So the reason for your air resistance getting bigger is because your object is moving faster. So that is the answer. That's the one line answer. As for part D, we are asking you what happens if the sum of all the left forces is equals to the sum of the right forces. So that highlighted part is basically telling you that your F net is now equals to 0, and you should be able to tell me that by Newton's second law, when your F net equals to 0, it means that your acceleration must also be 0 because your mass cannot be 0, right? So when your acceleration equals to 0, what does it mean in terms of its motion? Well, you need to tell me that when your A equals to 0, in terms of its motion, it means that your velocity is going to be constant, and that will give you the full 1 mark. Now, some of you are arguing that what if I say speed is constant? Aren't they the same thing? Well, if you write that your speed is constant, you need to add in one more quantifier, and that is in the same direction. Okay, and that makes your answer more lengthy. So for my students, I will always tell them that if acceleration is 0, just tell me in terms of velocity, it becomes constant, and that's it. Now, if you still have questions about the forces, you need to come and see me. You can leave your question in the comment, or you can WhatsApp me. Remember to like and subscribe so that I can keep posting video. Thank you.